All right, welcome everyone. Today, we're going to dissect the strategic marketing process for developing and managing products. And look, this isn't just theory from a textbook. This is a core competency that's going to define how effective you are in your careers, whether you land a job right here in North Carolina or you're competing on the global stage.
So here's our game plan. We're going to walk through the 6 key learning objectives for this chapter. I want you to think of it like a journey. We're following a product from where it is right now, through maybe a reinvention or a brand new creation, all the way to its strategic end. And then we'll look at the actual teams that make it all happen.
Okay, let's kick things off with a scenario that, trust me, you're absolutely going to face as a manager. Your main product, your flagship, the one that built the company, its sales are starting to flatline. Growth has stalled out. So what do? What are your options? Well, one of the most powerful moves, and it's a smart one because it's lower risk, is the line extension. This is where you take the brand power you've already built and use it to launch a new, related product. A perfect example is Salisbury-based Food Lion. Think about their private label brand and all the different varieties of pasta sauce or ice cream they have. They're using the trust we already have in the Food Lion name to sell a whole range of new items. Now, here's a really critical distinction to make. A line extension is not the same as a product modification. With a line extension, you're adding a new flavor or a new size. The original product is still there on the shelf, but with a product modification, you're actually changing the original product, and the old version gets pulled from the line. It's a key difference. So if you do decide to go the modification route, you've basically got 3 main levers you can pull. You can make quality modifications, maybe using better materials to make it more durable. You can make functional modifications, like adding a new feature to an app, or you can go for aesthetic modifications, changing the look, the feel, the taste. Each one hits a different part of the customer's experience. Okay, so we've covered how to manage the products you already have, but what about starting from scratch? Let's shift gears and dive into the much higher stakes game of developing entirely new products. This right here, this 7-phase process, this is the industry playbook. It's designed to look like a funnel for a reason. You start really wide at the top with a ton of ideas, and at every single phase, you filter them out. The whole point is to minimize risk, so you don't end up spending millions on an idea that was doomed from the start. And here are the steps in that journey. Each of these phases, from just that initial spark of an idea all the way to a full-blown commercial launch, is a critical checkpoint. It's a very disciplined process that forces you and your company to ask the really hard questions before you commit more money and more resources. Those first 4 phases, they're really all about one thing: filtering. You cast a super wide net for ideas, looking inside the company and outside. Then comes screening. And this is where most ideas die, honestly. And that's a good thing. They just don't fit with the company's goals. If an idea survives that, you test the concept with actual customers. And then finally, you run the numbers to see if it makes financial sense. Now, before a company bets the farm on a massive national launch, a lot of them will run a test market. And this isn't just about testing the product itself. Think of it like a full dress rehearsal of the entire marketing mix: the product, the price, the ads, the distribution, all of it, but in a small, controlled area. Okay, so you did it. Your product made it through the whole process and it's launched. Congratulations. But now it's out there in the wild, sitting on a store shelf right next to 5 competitors. The next challenge, and it's a huge one, is differentiation. Why should anyone pick your product? And that's where differentiation comes in. It's all about what happens inside the customer's head. It's the process of creating differences that are not only real, but that customers actually perceive and value. It's all about their perception. Let's bring this home with a local example. Think about Mooresville-based Lowe's. They don't just differentiate by selling a drill with more features. No, they compete on the quality and the consistency of their products. But a huge differentiator for them is the support and services you get. Things like their warranty, their in-store experts, their installation services. That's all part of the product. And once you figure out how you're different, that leads you directly to our next topic: positioning. This is the art of occupying a very specific piece of real estate in your customer's mind compared to your competitors. So, how do you figure out where you stand? Marketers use these fantastic tools called perceptual maps, just like this one here. It's basically a visual snapshot of the competitive landscape, all seen through the eyes of the customer. It shows you where things are crowded and, more importantly, where there might be some wide-open opportunities.
All right, let's make this real for our region. Think about the two banking giants down in Charlotte, Bank of America and Truist Financial. If you had to put them on a map like this, with digital innovation on one side and personalized service on the other, where would you place them? This is the exact kind of strategic thinking that marketing managers do every single day. So once you see that map, you come to a strategic fork in the road. You can choose to go head-to-head, basically picking a fight with a competitor on the same attributes, or you can find an empty space on that map and position yourself there, avoiding direct competition by highlighting what makes you unique to a different group of people. Okay, now we have to talk about something that can be the hardest part of a product manager's job, but it is so, so important. And that's knowing when it's time to say goodbye, when to eliminate a product that just isn't working anymore. And you can't just make this decision on a whim or based on feelings. You have to have a formal process, like the one you see here. Why? Because it takes the emotion out of it. It's so easy to get attached, but a weak product can be like an anchor, draining resources, distracting your sales force, and even hurting your company's reputation. So once you've made that tough call, you generally have 3 ways you could handle the exit. You can phase it out slowly, which is great if you have a small, loyal group of customers you don't want to upset. You can run it out, maybe slash the price to get one last burst of sales and clear out inventory. Or if it's losing a lot of money, you just drop it immediately. Okay, for our last section, let's pull back the curtain a little bit. We've talked about the what and the why of product management. Now let's talk about the who. Who are the people, what are the teams that actually make all of this happen inside a company?
And the thing is, there's no one-size-fits-all answer here. It totally depends on the company. You take a firm like Hanes Brands in Winston-Salem. They have all these different brands, right? Hanes, Champion. It makes perfect sense for them to have brand managers dedicated to each one. But then you look at a tech company like Carrie's Epic Games. To create something radically new, they might use a completely different structure, like a cross-functional venture team.
So here's the bottom line. Every single thing we've talked about, from a simple line extension to a huge new product launch to the tough decision to delete an old one, none of it happens in a vacuum. It all has to be part of one cohesive strategy with one goal, building a portfolio of products that creates real, sustained value for both the customer and the company. So as you're juggling your classes here at Appalachian and heading off to your jobs, I want you to take this with you. This framework isn't just something for an exam. It's a professional tool. Start looking at the products and services where you work right now through this lens. Ask yourself, where are they in their life cycle? And more importantly, what role can you play in their strategic management? That is where this all gets real.